Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on Batwoman Season 2. And this will be my breakdown for Batwoman Season 2, Episode 2, titled Prior Criminal History. And yeah, there are some very interesting stuff to go over for this video. But obviously, spoiler alert in case you haven't caught up with Batwoman this season, since this is obviously a breakdown of the entire episode. So I'll go over the episode bit by bit as I give you guys my overall thoughts on it. But obviously, if you guys have seen the episode or just don't care about spoilers in general, then obviously be sure to keep watching. But for those who haven't seen the episode, you have been warned. But just before I go over the episode, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Okay, so this episode has a very ominous opening, and we kick off the episode with Alice in the sewers. She's basically talking to the mouse on her hand and how an enemy of hers has found her. And also she does mention a couple of things about like bats and rats. I can't really remember what it was. But what Alice does was pretty disgusting, where she tapes a mouse on top of Mouse's dead body, and we get like a flock of bats just attacking Mouse and eating up parts of him, and obviously this leading to the bats being exposed to the poison that killed Mouse. So that does play a very interesting part in this episode. Now we get a flashback to Ryan Wilder, and we get this kind of backstory on Ryan Wilder getting inspired by Kate Kane's Batwoman. So essentially it's Halloween and she's getting mugged by the False Face Society by the looks of it. I'm not entirely sure. They're all wearing masks, but they're different types of masks, so it's not the Wonderland gang. But one really funny thing I loved was when they asked for money and then Ryan says something along the lines of, "Oh, trust me, I have a lot of people telling me the exact same thing." I thought that was very nice, and that's obviously due to the fact that she's behind all of her bills. But as Ryan was getting mugged, well, we had Kate Kane's Batwoman arrive and she saves Ryan from this predicament that she's in. And obviously it was just a Batwoman stunt double. Ruby Rose wasn't there filming that scene. And just like the Batman scene from the very first episode of the show, this was also covered in like a shadow, so you couldn't obviously see their face. But this is a really good origin, I felt, to inspire Ryan with the cape and cowl. Now we then cut to like a job interview between Ryan and the manager, and obviously Ryan is having a pretty tough backstory and she has been sentenced for a crime that she hasn't committed, and therefore she doesn't get the job that she wants. Now we do then cut to Jacob watching this footage of himself shooting Batwoman, and obviously this isn't going to go too well for him after the recent bomb drop by Alice, where she reveals to Jacob that his daughter was Batwoman. So watching this and seeing him shoot at his own daughter is pretty upsetting to him, and obviously that's like the last time he sees her. And we then have this interrogation scene where Jacob is interrogating Mary, and then we have Luke getting interrogated by Sophie, and basically the two members of the Crows are questioning Team Batwoman, if you will. This is obviously due to the fact that they're both close to Kate Kane, so they're questioning him about, "Oh, you had no idea that she was Batwoman," stuff like that. But Luke basically reversed it to Sophie, which I thought was pretty cold, where he is like, "Okay, wait, where were you when someone she loved wasn't by her side?" He literally shut her up like that, and I thought it was pretty good to see. But we are back with Ryan Wilder, and she's at a store trying to buy something, but I can't really remember the name of what she was trying to buy. And then we had these two robbers mugging the store which Ryan was at, and she does take them two down pretty well, as she is experienced with martial arts after all, and she has spent quite a while with criminals, so obviously she would know how to handle certain situations. But unfortunately the store owner got shot, and while Ryan was trying to help out, well, that didn't go too well, because Ryan goes up to the store owner and tries helping out. Therefore the fingerprints and stuff are all with Ryan, and then she is arrested and basically taken into Crow's custody. And while we're in the interrogation room, we find out that Ryan and Sophie already knew each other, since she has been taken into Crow's custody before. But then we had Ryan talking to Sophie about why all of this is happening to her due to her race, and she does also mention why Jacob doesn't shoot Alice for a particular reason. But obviously Sophie takes this in the wrong direction, and she assumes that Ryan already knows that Alice is Beth Kane, so she does accidentally make something slide, which begins to make Ryan suspicious about Alice. And we then head to Ryan going to Mary's clinic, and she's confronting her with the fact that Alice is Beth Kane. But it was nice to see these two characters have some history with Alice, because obviously Alice killed Mary's mother, but also she killed Ryan's mother as well. But as they are discussing about Alice, Mouse's dead body is then brought into the clinic, and let's just say he isn't looking too good. We then cut to Julia Pennyworth in her car, and Alice basically has like a knife pointed to her neck, and basically Alice is proposing this team up with her against Sophia, and that is obviously due to the case that both of them know exactly who Sophia is and how much power she has. She is like pretty much a female Ra's al Ghul, if you want to put it that way, status wise. Whenever mentioned, everyone would fear her, and that includes Alice as well. So Alice is like, okay, you know, why don't we team up and we stop Sophia together? But Julia doesn't agree with the team up, and then that leads to Alice having to stab Julia. We then head back to the clinic with the new team Batwoman, if you will. Basically out of Mouse's body we have like this random bat just flying out, and that's obviously due to what's happened in the start. So we have this bat flying out, and what was nice to see was how afraid Ryan was of bats, just like how Bruce Wayne is afraid of bats. And obviously she would use that bat as a symbol of fear to inflict on others. But we obviously have the Batwoman rally going on, and obviously someone's going to have to take up the mantle to stop what is happening over there, because obviously Alice was planning something. So Ryan is like, okay, you know what, put me into the suit. I've already worn it before and I've done a great job last time. So basically Luke wasn't really on board with it. He's like, okay, we could just put Julia on the suit, but obviously Julia was injured, so they had no choice but to put Ryan Wilder in the Batwoman suit. And one pretty interesting thing we see was when Jacob had that, like, you know, millisecond of hope that his daughter could be there, because Batwoman obviously shows up. He's like, oh, Kate is here, and then he takes a look at the binoculars, and obviously it's not her, so that obviously triggers him. So it'll be interesting to see how like, you know, anti-Batwoman he becomes, especially with the fact that an imposter took up the mantle of his daughter, if you will. Now we then had a cool fight scene between Ryan as Batwoman and Alice, and eventually Ryan was able to get the upper hand and defeat Alice on one-on-one combat. And she was going to kill her, because obviously the murder of her mother is standing right in front of her, and she's so tempted to do it until Alice obviously has a backup plan. And then this results into like hundreds of bats descending on Gotham's people and even knock them to the ground at one point. And since they are carrying poison with them, they are poisoning everyone they come in touch with. So that was pretty serious. Ryan then tells Luke that Alice has some sort of device which draws the bats to the city, and Mary is worried about the fact that these bats could potentially be toxic due to what's happened with Mouse and stuff. And basically Mary leaves to the clinic to obviously help the people that get poisoned. Meanwhile, Alice tries to escape through the stairs. Now Ryan chose to go after Alice at first because she obviously wants revenge, but she chooses to save the people instead after Luke talked her out of it. And I thought that that was a very nice shift in her character, because it shows her, like, you know, heroic side and how it begins. But obviously Ryan is then in the Batmobile, and she found this device which attracts the bats, and she basically draws them to like a crow's bus, and then she captures the bats inside the bus, and then she obviously blows it up, which I thought was pretty cool, and the way she handled it was pretty sick to see. Now Mary is obviously in the clinic because she wants to help the patients that have been poisoned, and we have Alice actually, like, you know, just sitting there casually in her office. I thought that was pretty funny to see, and she's like, you know, relax, and then she says that she does not want to lose another sister, which I thought was pretty funny as well. But she gives her some, like, you know, blood that will treat these people, and Mary tells Alice that she thinks that she misses Kate, and this is her, you know, sick way of grieving, if you will. Now Mary's on her way to obviously go to Hamilton Dynamics so she could, like, find more of this cure, and she hopes that she can synthesize the antidote so there's more than enough for people that need it. And obviously Sophie arrives to the clinic as well, and as she is leaving, she's like, okay, wait, how can you trust Alice, because obviously she's a psychopath. But Mary obviously says they have no choice, they're gonna have to try it. Now Luke and Mary arrive in the Batcave, and Ryan Wilder's obviously there as well. And Luke basically tells her that he appreciates everything she did, but they already have a Batwoman, and that is obviously Kate Kane. And we had Ryan obviously mention like how much this suit has meant to her, and like how like she can't help feel like the suit found her, like it was destiny. And then she begs for like a chance and says that she will restore hope back to Gotham. And Mary obviously says yeah, she is right, because the city needs a new Batwoman because Kate Kane isn't there. And Luke also agrees with it, but then he says Batwoman has a code: no killing. And then Luke gives Ryan the mantle of Batwoman temporarily until obviously Kate Kane returns. And I hope to God Kate does not come back, because in these 2 episodes Javicia Leslie did a much better job than Ruby Rose ever did in 20 episodes. Both actor wise and character wise, I enjoyed Javicia Leslie and Ryan Wilder a lot more than I enjoyed Ruby Rose and Kate Kane. Honestly, I love this new Batwoman, so hopefully she does keep the mantle after whatever is revealed with Kate Kane. I hope we do not go back to Kate Kane, because this character, she's just much better. Now Ryan starts to read through like these diary letters from Kate to Bruce, and it was pretty nice to see how Kate talks about that moment where she saved Ryan that day in the flashback sequence during the start of the episode. And obviously Ryan is reading that moment. So just as how Kate looked up to Bruce, Ryan will look up to Kate, and she does start to note her own personal journal as she goes along as Batwoman, and then she starts the letter with Dear Kate. Now lastly we end off the episode with Sophie, and then she pulls a gun on Alice and hands her over some handcuffs, and all of a sudden we have a woman with a sword showing up, and her name is obviously Tatiana, and then we have her knocking out both Sophie and Alice. But obviously Tatiana is taking these 2 characters to the island of Coriana, where they will obviously encounter Safiya for episode 3. And she's basically our big bad for the first half of the season, for those who don't know. And I cannot wait to see what goes down over there, because the episode 3 promo looks very interesting. But overall, I really like these 2 episodes. This season 2 is definitely better than season 1. Ryan Wilder is a better character than Kate Kane, and Javicia Leslie just put off a great performance. And so far season 2 is much better than season 1, and hopefully they do remain consistent with that. But yeah, I cannot wait to see what they have planned moving on to episode 3. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this episode. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.